Greetings, everybody. Failure to report here. So tonight's going to be a bit of a chill night. It's been a little while since I've streamed, so I figured I'd probably go ahead and do something tonight rather than nothing, because it's been like a week because of how my schedule works out with my kids, and it's nearly impossible to stream or do anything when they are here. If I do something when they're here, it's literally I have to wait until like 3 in the morning to actually get anything done, and it's just super stressful. But anyways, we're gonna be playing some Elite tonight. Usually I'm more interested in doing either combat missions or planetary stuff, but if you don't know, we recently got the cutter, and oh man, she takes some credits to outfit. So right now that's kind of been my primary focus, is working up on the credits and getting her internals properly outfitted, so that I can move on to engineering her. Either way, it's money. It takes a lot of money. So instead of doing a labor of love, so to speak, in terms of the normal missions I would like to be doing, we're going to be doing a labor of riches. It's kind of a really monotonous compared to most things. Like it's long hauls, right? Really long hauls to distant stations in order to pull maximum creds. So it's going to be a really relaxed stream. More of a kind of hangout and chill thing than anything really exciting coming out of this. However, if you are playing Elite and you want to figure out how to make a lot of money, then maybe this stream's going to offer you some insight on how to do that very well. So again, we're going to be doing passenger missions. We're doing them out of Allen Hub, I believe it is, not Station Hub, in Upsilon Aquari, and we will be hauling them to Smeaton Orbital in Lima Tango Tango Niner 360. And usually the payouts are actually pretty solid, especially once you get your reputation up. They start off a little bit kind of meh for the amount of effort, well, time more than anything, that it takes to get there. But once you do get there, and you get your rep up, the payouts quickly become definitely worth it. The biggest annoyance is having to cycle the board, which fucking unfortunately is a big thing with Elite. It's one of the things that I hate most about this game, is the necessity to board cycle for the missions that you actually want. But we'll get there. Alright, let's see here. On the upside, the cutter is slowly coming together, and that makes me really happy. It's definitely such a difference once you start getting the internals A-rated on this thing. You're like, oh, thank Christ. Alright, come on, board, work with me tonight. The board is not cooperating tonight. Oh man. It's gonna be one of those nights, I can feel it. On the upside, I also managed to get my Christmas tree bobblehead, which I'm super happy Frontier brought that up for sale again. I was a little worried. I was like, oh god, please. And also, if you're looking for skins and you aren't aware, the festive skins are available, as well as the chrome and gold skins. There we go. There's our first one. Nice. Jump on in there. So I'm obviously waiting for the cutter and the clipper skins to come available, because those are my two bays. Come on, some more 96. 30. The only thing that really sucks with this is sometimes you really, like, especially if you have a really large passenger capacity, sometimes you just have a really bad time at the board. The lotto, the random luck of the draw in terms of what the mission offers you, and you have to sit here and refresh it for a bit, and you really have to keep an eye on the timer for your missions that you have picked up, because if you spend too long trying to fucking play fuck games with the board, you can get to a point where you're running it really close on whether or not you get your passengers to their destination on time, and nothing sucks more than literally arriving at your destination station, and then you get a bunch of spam saying mission failed because you didn't get there in time, and you're like, motherfucker. So that's a struggle that you really got to keep an eye out if you're doing these. Sometimes if I get like really good offerings and I'll get like a couple 20 mils here and there, I'll just say, all right, fuck it, I don't care if I'm close to full, we're leaving. Like that. I'll take a 30 mil. I don't want to wait 10 minutes, Falcon Wrath, just because the fucking timers on like the mission completion sometimes are like really close, and the amount of time it takes to actually get out there is you end up really cutting it close. There's another one. Oh, love it, so good. Sometimes I have to go back through these and make sure that I didn't miss any. I mean, especially if I'm not streaming, right? If I'm just playing by myself, I don't mind sitting here and refreshing the board at all. The only issue I have with it is literally only this station and this type of mission, and it's only because if you wait too long, you're really running it close on being able to turn in the mission successfully or not. Which I'm a little heartbroken over that, like, I should have grounded out the cutter sooner because I'd be outfitted already. And there's so much cool shit going on right now with the Thargoid stuff. I'm like, oh, god damn it. I want to get out on that, but at the same time, I'm like, I have no place being there at all right now. I would get just completely wrecked, or jumped by fucking griefers, or fucking who knows what. So let's see, how long do we have? 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay, we're looking all right so far. Oh shit! Right. I have to say the whole the Thargoids attack, that plotline was really fucking cool. I love that, like, Frontier kind of like shakes shit up with that and like influences the story of the galaxy by doing stuff like that. That's so fucking cool. I feel like it's been forever since I played like even an MMO that had events that were like live and driven by the developers. I I really hate that they have training at the top. I wish they would switch those around so much. Hopefully with 2018, somewhere along the lines in there is a UI update, polishing, touch-up. Like, certain parts of the UI, especially after playing Star Citizen, are so smooth and so fucking, like, effortless to use, and then other things are really fucking clunky and unrefined. It's definitely kind of a mixed bag. I feel like the important stuff that you're going to be using, like, during gameplay is pretty smooth to navigate. And then a lot of the other menu stuff is just tedious as fuck, and really just a pain in the ass to even bother with. In between outfitting this thing though, I did buy an Anaconda really quick just to see how that actually drove, because I was really curious to see how the Anaconda was going to be, especially after flying the Cutter, right? Because everybody's like, oh, the Cutter's a space whale, it's so fucking just terrible to fly around, blah blah blah. And I like the Anaconda, especially because it has the rear bridge. Oh my god, I love that in the Anaconda. I wish the Cutter had something like that. I really love having the rear bridge that lets you see exactly where your clearances are, I guess you could say. I kind of wish the Anaconda's bridge was a little further back. I think the Corvette's is like full back, if I remember right. And that may be a big reason why I end up like actually going after the Corvette, even though I'm not really interested in it. But I may end up grabbing it just for that, because I love the idea of like a full back bridge, so you can actually see what you're doing. And I was so worried about flying the Anaconda because of the belly, because it hangs so low, and you know, you hear people essentially snagging the belly on the bottom all the fucking time, and I was really nervous. I took that thing out of the station and I was full anxiety attack the whole way out. I was like, oh please Christ, don't fucking snag and get blown up and waste the fucking millions on the rebuy. Luckily though, I kind of just, I took the dot that like is your indicator of like where you're going or whatever, and I literally just kind of put it on the ceiling and it just slid right out, much to my surprise. And actually docking the Anaconda I feel like is probably almost easier than the fucking Cutter. I was really expecting it to be just a fucking nightmare scenario all the way across, and I was really surprised that the Anaconda like felt like it flew really well. I'm really thinking once I get a little bit more money, I may try to grab an Anaconda. I don't know. I'm really torn. I love the Cutter on one hand, but certain aspects of the Anaconda I really like. I like how it feels. It feels really maneuverable in comparison to the Cutter. I mean, granted, this is like stock, right? Not engineered, because I still need to work on my engineers. So there is that to take into consideration. But and I love the way the Anaconda looks with the Raider kit. Oh god, so good. I think that's probably one of my favorite ships because of that Raider kit. I feel like the Corvette kits are really like, they're kind of bland, in my opinion. Um, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot the other kits for the two large endgame ships, with the Cutter and the Anaconda, all of their ship kits for cosmetic options, I feel like kind of make it look unique and really change up the flow of the ship. And then the Corvette ones are just like these weird little stubs or just random shit. And it really doesn't like make me go, "Oh man, I really want a Corvette." I mean, granted the Corvette looks really good like vanilla, but I like the idea of the ship kits because it kind of gives you an ability to like add that personal touch to your ship to where if you mix and match them and stuff, you can kind of make the ships stand out and be different than like, you know, the Corvette next to you, let's say, or the Cutter next to you. And the options with the Corvette are just so, they're small and like little nubs here and maybe a slightly different nose. And I'm like, God, ugh, I don't know. So that really kind of broke my heart. I mean, it could be worse. It could be one of the ships that just doesn't have a fucking kit. That shit really kind of confuses me. I don't understand why, like, Frontier Dev, you know, especially with their business model being essentially cosmetic based, why there aren't more ship kits for more of the ships. Like, there's a lot of them out there, I've noticed, that don't even have ship kits. Like, the only options you have are, like, a couple different paint jobs or whatever. And it's like, come on, Frontier. Like, I'm happy and willing to give you money. Like, give me some options here, and I'll gladly fucking walk up to the register. Like, shit. It's, I don't know. Frontier Dev is really puzzling to me. I feel like Elite could be a lot more financially lucrative for Frontier Dev, but at the same time, like, it's almost like they don't want it to be. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, gamers love cosmetics. We love customizing our shit in fucking every genre, from shooters to space sim, whatever it might be. Like, gamers love fucking cosmetics. It's so weird that I feel like they're not capitalizing on that at all. It feels like really low effort on their part to like give people an excuse to spend that money, and it's really weird. Especially when, as somebody who comes from Star Citizen, right, where like they fucking pimp you at every fucking turn. You come over to Frontier, and it's almost like they don't want your money. Like, outside of buying the base game and Horizons, it's almost like they're like, well, you know, if you want to buy some of the shit we put out, that's cool. If not, whatever. Um, I guess maybe that's a symptom of Elite being produced by like a studio that has more than just one game that is, you know, out and doing well. I don't know. It's really weird. The tragic thing about doing this for money, though, is that sometimes it's just hit or miss on the board working with you. Like, sometimes I'll get back to the station and I'll go to pick up missions, and I will literally just fill my shit in, like, 2 refreshes. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, come on, baby, come on. So it's really just kind of a little bit RNG on, like, what you get. But, man, when you do get a full load right away, oh, it's so nice. Just turning tens of millions back to back is so fucking good. Especially as somebody who's like, my first windfall in Elite Dangerous was doing Road to Riches, right? And that takes like a good chunk of time. I mean, it's cool because you get to go out there and like explore and like see a lot of the, you know, space outside of the bubble. Maybe not very far outside of the bubble, but you're still like going out there and like getting a sense of everything. So it feels cool. It feels entertaining. And then doing this, once I had the cutter, it's like, holy shit. I'm making way more money in way less fucking time. Oh, thank you, Jesus. It's cool to kind of like feel a sense of income scaling, right? Like where before I wasn't making like a whole lot doing missions. I mean, I was making, you know, a couple tens of millions here and there with planetary scan stuff, which didn't take too long, and it's fun for me. I really enjoy it. I know some people don't, but I think we're gonna go with that. That should be enough. So when I started doing this and making, you know, just stupid money a run, it felt so nice to finally like feel like my time was actually being like well spent. All right, cutter, roll out. I think this is the biggest issue I have with this run is the fucking AI, man. Oh my god, they just do not want to let you go in or out sometimes. And you almost have to like duck underneath them sometimes because they just don't give you a turn to go through. Sometimes they will if you're like literally going through it. But for the most part, they're always like, fuck you, buddy, I'm coming through. And then the other big problem I have is the fucking police. They try to like fly around you to scan you, but then they fucking collide with you. Let's see if it happens this time or not. So they crash into you, and I sit here thinking like, does that reduce my fucking payout? Because like a lot of the passenger missions have conditions like, oh, they don't like any kind of violent actions, being scanned, blah blah blah, like all this other shit. I'm like, fucking goddamn AI cops. Like, it's fine if you want to scan me or whatever, but like, do you really have to crash into me also? Like, fuck. So has anybody seen the new Star Wars yet? This is the other like thing that I really love about the cutter is interdictions are fucking really easy to get out of. And even if I do get interdicted, you just full pips to engines, boost your way through it, and you're gone. I love it. So nice. We're doing alright on time. We can probably submit to interdiction just to shoot something, so it's not as monotonous as a straight run. Oh man, I'm really heartbroken with the things I'm hearing about the new Star Wars movie. Although, like, I kind of, like, after Force Awakens, I went into it like, oh, I have a feeling I'm not going to enjoy this new trilogy. Which is weird, because I thought Rogue One did a pretty good job of being, like, of feeling like a Star Wars movie. Whereas, like, I don't know what it is with Force Awakens. I just really didn't like it. And then, like, the stuff I'm hearing about Last Jedi is, really disheartening, to say the least. I won't go spoiling, I promise, but... oh, man. Now, I feel like the only sci-fi franchise I have left that I'm not just completely heartbroken over is The Expanse. Which sucks. I mean, fuck, man. I feel like every franchise that I held dear as a child is just one by one being pulled out of the storage room and just raped until fucking whatever company that owns it feels like, okay, well, we've pimped this for as much as it's worth. Let's just go ahead and toss this back into the storage and we'll come back in, 10, 20 years. Like, fuck. Like, I think I honestly was... I was more impressed with the Power Rangers movie reboot than I was fucking Star Wars reboot, right? Like, that's fucked up. That's really, like... oh, God. That kind of shit broke my heart. Hey Gameflow, passenger running from Allen Hub to Smeaton Orbital. It's definitely it's definitely a lot of LS. Which isn't too bad. Like, it just depends on what you're doing, right? It's not necessarily a super entertaining thing for streaming necessarily. I'm just kind of streaming more to, like, bullshit with people. Since it's been about a week since I actually, like, had a stream. But But you know, like if I wasn't streaming, I would probably be watching Netflix or something on the side. So it's a decent amount of credits for, you know, kind of, you know, space trucker amounts of effort, which is nice. I appreciate having the option, right? And I think that's one of the big things that I like about Elite Dangerous is I feel like I have a lot of different options in terms of earning credits. Whether that's intentional or not. uh, Sometimes, yeah. Usually I don't get popped in between the two, like at the jump-in point. And I either get jumped at the jump-in point, or I get interceded as I go to slow down at Smeaton Orbital. But it's usually not an issue in the cutter. I haven't ever had an interdiction where I lost to NPCs. At least players, I'm sure, would be different. But I've had a couple instances where I make it to Smeaton, I slow down to not overshoot, and I'll get interdicted, get through the interdiction, no problem, and then I'll get interdicted again and get through the interdiction. And I think one time I had 3 back to back to back, and surprisingly, the cutter doesn't have any issues getting through them. I was really shocked. Like, I thought that was going to be one of the trade-offs when I went up to the cutter from the Clipper. I figured, okay, I'm going to get interdicted, like, much easier now because I'm a giant ship compared to, like, what I was flying. And surprisingly, it's almost, I feel like it's almost easier to get out in the cutter than it is with the Clipper. It's weird. Even when this thing was, like, only D-rated, right? Because when I first got it, it broke my fucking bank. I think I didn't even have enough to cover the rebuy costs. So it just handled awful, and I was still, like, I kind of, like, rolled the dice and was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go to this station. I'm going to try the passenger missions. If I lose, I lose, and I'm back to square one. I'll earn the money back up and do it the safe way. But if I make one run, then I more than have enough for my buyback cost, and I've got a little bit of a buffer. And it had no problem, much to my surprise. I was really happy with it. It's kind of like, it's love-hate, right? Like, I'm loving the cutter, but I kind of hate it because I'm like, oh shit. I really wanted to, like, fly around with the Anaconda a little bit. I wanted to work towards getting the Corvette, and now I kind of almost feel like I'm like, well, shit, maybe I don't care about those anymore now. Yeah, it's so good money. Even if you, like, I guess if you're already at a Beluga, right? Then there's no point in, like, trying to go backtrack. But yeah, like, I'll throw up the map or whatever. So I'm running between Upsilon Aquari to LTT 9360, Allen Hub to Smeaton Orbital. And it's really good money. It's really good money. If I have a good run of the board and I actually, like, fully fill up the cutter, I'm looking at, like, you know, 100+ mil a run, easy. I mean, let's see, what are we at? I've kind of hit a point where, like, almost everything in the cutter is A-rated now. I think the big thing I haven't grabbed yet was the shield and, what do you call it? The plating, the hull plating or whatever. But I think outside of that, you know, doing this is basically funded my ship in fucking, you know, no time at all. I think I've really only done this run, like, maybe 2 or 3 days of actual, like, effort play. And, I mean, I've probably made about $1 billion at this point. it was definitely refreshing because I was like, oh god, and everybody was telling me like how much money it takes to outfit a cutter, and they were like, oh, have fun, it's gonna be like $1 billion, blah blah blah, and I'm like, fuck, and just miserable as fuck thinking about it. And you know, a couple of people are like, oh man, come out here and run passenger missions, and I started doing that, and I mean, I was swapping in A grade modules in no fucking time flat. Yeah, I'm really nervous about the whole like engineers revamp. Um, I mean, granted, I haven't really started engineers, right? So I don't have a lot into it to lose. Um, you know, I don't have like an experience to lose, I guess, when they revamp it. But I've heard like a lot of veterans players, like some of them are like really for the new system, and they're like, oh man, this is really cool. Like you have progression based engineering now instead of just RNGesus. And then other people are like, oh my god, it's gonna take so long to fucking do this stuff, blah blah blah. So I guess I'm kind of like, I'm really nervous to see how it pans out. If nothing else, though, I'm really excited to see what the Type 10 is going to be like. God, that might almost end up being what I end up getting, is the fucking Type 10, if it has like the standard like incredible cockpit view. That's one of the biggest things that I fucking love about the Lakon ships is their cockpits are incredible. So I could see me flying a Type 10 until the Chieftain drops. Yeah, absolutely. And that's like one thing is like I'm fucking constantly having to what do you call it? To discard data because these missions keep giving me so much fucking what do you call it? Data and rewards. I'm like constantly having to fucking discard like extra junk data so that I can actually turn this shit in once I get to the station. So that's really nice. I'm definitely I'm loving this run, and I'm so happy people told me about it. Yeah, I mean, I went from only having the cutter at stock grades, right? And like I think I had like 2 mil left after I bought it, um, and like literally nothing. And this was last week, and I've played like maybe 3 or 4 days since I got the cutter last week. And now the cutter is essentially almost all A rated. I have a clipper again that's completely A rated and outfitted. I have my courier again. I have my Imperial Eagle. So like I have all of my old ships back, all properly outfitted again, and the cutter's pretty close to being like complete. So you can definitely make a lot of money doing this if you're actually like willing to sit here and kind of like get through it, right? It's definitely not the most exciting mission loop, but it is definitely really, really nice in terms of like feeling like you're actually getting a payout worth it. Yeah, so if you can, like, and I don't know like how many creds you had. Like I was a little nervous about jumping the the cutter all the way here, so I literally just outfitted, I think it was a hauler with an A frame shift drive, and just jumped out here, and then I transferred it to the station, because you don't need any, your jump range is like fucking, you don't need hardly any to do this run. It's like, how far? Let's see. Yeah, it's 11 light years, so your jump range doesn't have to be that big. I should have done that, probably, game flow. However, I literally just showed up and started taking whatever they offered, and just worked it up by working missions. So, you know, like, I should have gotten, like, what do you call it, some scan data or something like that to kind of, like, bump the rep up a little bit at the start. But it wasn't even that bad. Like, starting out, I was still making decent payouts. It wasn't like now I'm picking up, like, 20 to 29 mil missions, but when I first got there, it was still, like 7 to 10 mil, what do you call it, missions, so it wasn't bad. Yeah, and I'm not even max rep yet, so I can only imagine for somebody who has a like full rep with the mission givers there at Allen. I'm sure it's really fucking nice. Yeah, at this point, I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna bank as much money as I can for now, and then I'll probably just jump right into fucking grinding my federal rank now, because I feel like I'll have the money to do kind of whatever I want, which is really nice. So I'll probably just start doing missions that I actually enjoy doing that give Fed rank, and start working up on my federal faction. I mean, even that, like, yeah, I'm already, like, I think I've gotten, like, 2 ranks out of it by just fucking doing random shit. Because, like, there's a couple of the mission givers, they're at Allen that are federal. And then at Smeet and Orbital, there's also a couple that are Fed. So I'm also, like, passively working up on the Fed rank a little bit here and there, which is nice, because after, like, burning hard through Imperial, I'm like, oh god. Yeah, same. I'm sure that, like, I'm at least, you know, another rank addition to the one that I'm cleared for right now. I just haven't been looking for the rank missions. I think I saw one and I was like, whatever. I'm not worried about this right now. I'll get to it later. But it's nice because I would like to eventually go to Sol and see Earth. So it definitely doesn't hurt that I'm working up on the Fed rank while doing this. Yeah, I would say definitely, if you haven't yet, definitely drag your beluga out there, one way or another. Because for me, it was totally worth it. Absolutely. How are you liking the beluga, by the way? I was really considering picking one up if I switched to the Anaconda. Ugh. That was like one of my big concerns with switching to the Anaconda, was I wanted something that could still do passenger runs really well. But I don't have, like, any experience with the beluga at all. So I was like, oh shit, maybe I should wait. Oh shit. Oh man. Yeah, I was super nervous about the anaconda, especially, and the beluga, like with how like it has like those fins and everything. I can only imagine. I'm sure that one's super fun to get in and out. That's the one nice thing about the cutter is I feel like my vertical clearance isn't bad at all. And it's super easy to make sure you're centered on the slot, right? When you don't have to worry about your vertical and you're just worried about the horizontal, I feel like the cutter is super easy to get in. Oh my god, really? Wow, nice jump range. Holy shit. Huh. I have to look into that. Like, I get in these really weird funks where I'm like, okay, well, I can't fly a mix of ships, right? Um, so, like, if I have a cutter, I have to have a clipper and a courier and an Imperial Eagle, right? Uh, which sucks because then I'm really fucked on medium pads, right? Unless I go all the way down to a small size ship with the courier. Whereas with the, what do you call it, Falcon de Lacy, you know, you have the Python, which can fucking do like everything, and it's a fucking medium pad ship. The Anaconda, obviously, which is great for like longer range stuff. Um, and I'm an absolute like, I love the fucking Viper. I wish that the fucking Viper Mark IV had more kit options, um, but yeah, it doesn't. So I'm like, oh god, I can't mix and match them. So I'm like really trying to find an excuse to switch over to Falcon de Lacy. And I'm like, well, maybe I can get the Beluga, and that'll like, I'll be able to like find some kind of like in my mind loophole to justify owning a Beluga and still having like the rest of the Falcon de Lacy ships. Yeah, I think so. I think I remember somebody telling me that the Beluga was like the biggest in terms of like undocking and docking. I mean, it definitely looks just fucking mammoth. Yeah, absolutely. Game flow, do it. It's fucking, it's totally worth it. I wish I had known about it sooner because I could have gotten into an Anaconda immediately, like much sooner than when I got my cutter, and I would have been like financially set by the time I got my cutter. Instead, I did it like reverse. And I mean, like once I got here, I mean, I stripped everything out and switched them in with what do you call it, passenger cabins. Like I don't even have a fuel scoop right now. I think the only thing I have is the shield. Oh, same, same. I got into Elite a few days after that nerf. I'm so sad. The stories I hear people tell me about that, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I missed that by like, I think it like 2 weeks or something like that. Oh, I was heartbroken. A week? I don't remember. It was close. Close enough for me to fucking kind of like ball up in the corner of my office and cry a little bit. Yeah, I can't even imagine, right? The kind of payouts that people were getting from that is just crazy. I feel like every time there's a really like high end credit farm, I miss it either because I don't have the right kind of loadout to do it, or I find out about it after Frontiers nerfed it. So there was like the Rhea one. There was like the Thargoid one that was paying out like really fucking good, but I didn't have cargo resistant racks in time. Um, what else was there? I think there were a couple other like station route ones that kind of got toned down that I can't remember anymore, but I feel like I'm always like last to know, right? Like I'm the guy that walks in to like the open house party or whatever, and like he throws in the door with the kegs and he's like, "Yo, bitches, I'm ready to go," and everybody's like gone. I'm like, "Oh, god damn it." That's been my experience with Elite so far, is I'm always like just a little bit too late. That's one of the biggest things I'm worried about with grinding my Fed rank, right? I'm like, fuck, dude, do I do this enough to make like good money? Um, and then like say, okay, I've got a decent amount of money. I need to go grab my Fed rank because I'm worried they're gonna like nerf the Ceos to Sothis run or whatever. So I'm like terrified if I'm gonna like make it in time for that one. So I'm like, okay, how much do I care about getting Fed rank versus how much do I care about making credits? And at what credit threshold am I like, okay, I've made enough credits for now, I should go work on, what do you call it? I should go work on my Fed. Oh no. Yeah, that's what it seems to be, right? It seems like there's almost always something going on with passenger missions. It's just a matter of like finding them, or like hearing about like the really really good overpowered ones. And like I get why people don't want to like publicly circulate them, because obviously the longer Frontier doesn't know that people are just farming the shit out of them, the longer that those people can farm the shit out of them and profit. Um, so it's almost like a race, right? You gotta like find out about them, get over there and do them, and then hope to God you make enough before Frontier finds out. I do like that they don't like do any kind of punitive shit, right? Like they don't look at it as like you're exploiting or anything like that. They're just like, oh well, good on you guys. You found a really lucrative loophole. As far as I know, like I've never heard any stories of them being like, oh, this motherfucker. And I like that they don't immediately go and hotfix it either. From what I've seen, like they're kind of like, oh, all right, well done, commanders, well done. But yeah, I think like what you're saying is like dead on. It's absolutely worth like always having some form of large passenger transit ship. And I think that might be that might end up being the reason why I go with grabbing a beluga. Is that way I can have one outfitted at any time like something like this comes up. I can be like, okay, well, I'm gonna bust out the beluga and go haul passenger missions for a while to pay for, you know, my next couple months of elite play. Which is a big one for me, because that's usually how I like to play MMOs. I like being able to like grind assets and materials or whatever, and then when I'm like, okay, I've made enough, and it'll hold me over for a while so that I don't have to do tedious shit that I don't enjoy for a long period of time. And then once I start getting tight again, I'll go back and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna grind, you know, money or gold or whatever it is in the game. And then once I'm set, I can go back to playing how I want to play. I love games that let you do that. Nice, nice. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pick one of those up either tonight or tomorrow. How does the beluga handle? Is it pretty capable, like in terms of like especially like interdictions and stuff like that? Although I've heard that like it's almost impossible to get interdicted by NPCs, so I guess maybe like that's not something I really need to be concerned with, but it doesn't hurt to be informed. Nice. Okay. That's all I'm concerned about. Like, I have no intention of doing open play for a long time, um, specifically because of engineering, right? Like, I'm not about to go into open play where somebody's going to have a fucking huge advantage over me because I don't have engineering done. Like, that would just be stupid. Like, I guess, you know, some people look at engineering as like, oh, well, it adds another level of gameplay to kind of like be a time sink and all this other stuff so that you have more stuff to do. But I hate how like slanted it makes combat. I mean, like you hear like top end elite PvPers talk about how like the difference between like a ship having a god roll and a ship having like a near god roll is like that being like the world of a difference. So the difference between somebody having like a high end roll on engineering compared to like somebody who's not engineered would just be laughable. And it sucks knowing that because then I'm like, okay, well, I don't have any desire to get into PvP at that point. At least not until I'm at like that same level in terms of like component. Oh shit. Alright, let's get ready for the interdictions. The only thing I really hate with like AI interdictions in this game is I feel like you can't see them coming at all. Which maybe I'm just like missing something on like reading the radar or I don't know what, but I'm willing to be open to the possibility that it's me doing something wrong, but I feel like I just boom interdicted out of nowhere. Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes if I'm in Super Cruise and I'm kind of like going slow or whatever, and I go by a pirate or something like not a mission, um, not a mission like spawned pursuit, but like you know just somebody that's out there. Like I'll see them loop around and come in for the interdiction. I'm like, okay, cool. I know that they're coming. I know what they are. But I hate the ones that just are like, boom, you're being interdicted out of nowhere. And you have no like no warning or like no chance to like try to evade them or anything like that. It's just aha, you're being interdicted. Oh shit. No, I shouldn't say anything. Okay, now I'll say something. Holy shit, we made it without being interdicted. Nice. It's a good day. Beautiful. If I hit that ship, I'm gonna be so annoyed. Very good. Yeah, like I think this is one of the biggest reasons that I'm like worried about switching over to an Anaconda is I feel like with the cutter I can literally come at it from any like vertical approach. Like it doesn't matter if I'm like high or low or whatever. I'm almost certainly gonna make it through the slot as long as I'm centered. And I'm kind of worried about switching to the other big ships because of that. Because I feel like I've probably picked up some bad habits by flying the cutter at this point. Because I don't even pay attention to vertical necessarily, unless it's like really extreme and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna smash into the ceiling or the bars or whatever. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into the beluga. Let's see, we started at 364. Oh no. Right. Yeah, I think definitely full economy class passengers don't bother with the fucking VIPs. They're always more headache than they're worth. Anybody going to Upsilon Aquari? Unless it's one of these dudes, just because on the return trip it's so short that like it's almost impossible to fuck it up. I mean, you could board refresh here, and probably pull, you know, a couple mil on your return trip, which is like super short. I've just gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't even care. It doesn't feel like it's worth the time. So like, if there's anybody that wants to go back, like right then and there, when I pick up the missions, I'm like, okay, we're good, and let's go. Otherwise, I just roll out. I don't even bother. Hey, Crazy. Yeah, I'm still having a fucking blast with Elite. And it's nice too because like the jumps are so short. Like I could probably strip down to a smaller fuel tank too. I don't know if that would really help with like the speed. Maybe not. But I mean, like I don't even like once you get here, you don't need a fuel scoop unless you're really worried about being interdicted. You don't need a fucking shield generator, weapons, anything like that. You can literally just strip down as far as you want. So I think that alone might be a reason I go grab a beluga to do this, because what do you call it? This cutter's like, oh, I would be so embarrassed if I got pulled out by that sun. Like I had the cutter kind of like built up to defend itself, which I really don't need, but at the time I was like really worried about it. I was like, oh god, please don't get killed. But now after doing it, I feel pretty confident to where I could probably strip this thing down to fucking like bare fucking bones and be fine. God damn it, I keep forgetting this one's so close to this damn sun. Alright, We're just gonna go ahead and loop that one real quick. Alrighty. I'm gonna end up having to rename my channel to Failure to Not Overshoot. I've like fucking mastered the loop of shame at this point. The only time I don't just gratuitously overshoot is if I'm using voice attack, because I'll remember and like actually, you know, tell the ship to go to 70%. Oh. Probably not going to get out of interdiction this time. Which is okay, fuck it. I don't really care about this run. Ah, god damn it. Oh, please don't take me right into the fucking planet. Of course. Alright, we're good. We're good. It's just some slight turbulence, passengers. Thank you for being patient and obeying our seatbelt laws. It always makes me nervous when the interdiction like runs right up next to the atmosphere of the planet. Because I had one that actually like pulled me out because I got too close to the planet trying to chase the escape vector. And I nearly died because of it. That was not my finest moment. I really need to boot this thing up in VR too. I kept meaning to like save save the VR experience in the bigger ships until I got the cutter right. So like even though I had the clipper, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to use it yet. So I have yet to use the Rift on any of the large ships. And from what I've been told, it actually adds that sense of scale when you're using it with the big ships, like if you have a VR. So I'm like really excited to try that. 117. All right. And touchdown. So one thing of advice, I don't know how experienced you are with this stuff, is keeping an eye on your advanced maintenance. It won't show up in your repair all, right? Like this all says 100%. But if you go into your advanced maintenance, there's other shit to like actually repair and deal with, especially this one up here. Your ship integrity, that's the one that doesn't show up. I guess from what I've been told, it doesn't really matter. It just reduces your hull total hit points by like 30%. So like your actual 100% is 70. So I guess it doesn't really matter unless you really get stuck in combat. But it's just something to keep an eye on. Usually you can tell because your paint job starts getting super fucked, but I stopped repairing my paint job because I kind of like it looking worn. So that doesn't really help me out, but usually like you can tell by looking at that shit. Because I guess like the longer you're in frame shift, or what do you call that? Not frame shift, super cruise. The longer you're in super cruise, the more like wear your ship's in hull integrity takes, and like all your other parts. So you're supposed to like keep an eye on that. I think I do have it set for that. Let's see. Yeah, I've got it set. Oh shoot. There. Let's see. How did I fail that? Oh. I guess she wanted to go somewhere else. Oh. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and strip out all those other cabins and go back to full economy. Oh yeah, yeah. I still have some of those moments when I forget to pay attention to the fuel gauge, and like, you know, I'll just happen to be passing through a system that doesn't have a scoopable star when I notice it, and I'm like, oh god, please let the next one be scoopable. Alright, let's see here. I'm gonna switch these out with the economies, because these VIP people are not worth the hassle at all. There we go there. Cargo. Yep. All right. Let's see what the board's got for us today. Yeah, I've had a couple close calls where I almost ran out, and then I did actually run out one time, but luckily I was in something cheap. I don't remember what I was flying, but it was like an Asp Explorer or something like that, right? So it didn't fucking kill me to self destruct, but it's still like I felt like an idiot for actually running out of fuel. And I mean, I could have gone with fuel rats, right? But I was like, no, it's not worth somebody else's time. Like, I don't want to waste somebody's time and like that. Maybe if I had a bunch of exploration data or something like that, like I was like way out on like a really long journey or something, maybe then. But I just didn't want to waste anybody's time to come save me for fucking up. But I think it's so fucking cool that the fuel rats are a thing, though. I think that's so fucking cool. The fact that people out there will like literally come save you for, I mean, as far as I'm aware, nothing, right? Like they don't get paid or anything. That shit's really fucking impressive. Yeah, no. Oh shit, yeah. I don't know how that works. Man, I know like a lot of people have told me like one of the guys I talked to actually like plays on PC with a game controller and voice attack. But I don't know. I don't know if I could play on a controller. I don't think I'm controller coordinated enough. I'm pretty sure I would do an absolutely terrible job. And I would be worse than I already am. Yeah, same. Same for sure. Uh, Especially if you've done it already on PS4. Oh my god. I can't imagine having to do the engineers again, right? Like it's it's so grindy and just really annoying feeling that I don't even want to start it, right? Like I'm procrastinating getting into engineers as much as possible because it just does not look like anything other than just a miserable fucking grind. I can't imagine having to do it twice. That would literally drive me insane. Which sucks because like it definitely feels like it's something you kind of like maybe not have to do, but you really really should because like having the engineers essentially like allows you to do like half of the builds out there for a lot of ships, right? So it's really unfortunate that like engineering is such a bitch to do. But like you kind of feel like you're forced into it. Ah, the old board hopping. This is the part of this shit that I actually don't like. I'm more okay with like the long cruise time between like the two stations than having to fucking refresh the board over and over again. Like in my dream scenario, you could just say taking passenger missions from, you know, here to whatever destination, and like even just waiting, right? Like you just kind of wait, and then if somebody's like, "Oh, hey, I need to go there" or whatever, like it pops up and prompts you like, "Hey, do you want to accept?" or some kind of system where it's like passive, right? And I'm not having to fucking jump board to board to board. Something like a little more immersive. Because nothing says like I'm part of a space galaxy like having to exit, go back in, exit, go back in. Let's see here. Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like that should be a thing, right? Like it'll be more realistic, right? Like, you know, I don't know. It would just feel more natural than like popping the board over and over again to get, you know, the mission that you actually want. But, you know, it's one of those things where it'd be nice, but probably not ever gonna happen, unfortunately. Or same thing with like hauling cargo too, right? Like, oh hey, I'm, you know, a cargo ship. I have this much cargo space. Leaving from this station to that station. Who needs shit transported? That kind of thing would be really fucking cool. And I clicked the wrong one. Oops. Oh. Oh, man. Just So not a good day for passenger transport. Come on. I think that was private. I don't remember. Oh shit, I made elite. Damn, I didn't even know that I hit elite. That's fucking cool. Fuck. Nice. Any player BR, the space toilets are way back there. Unfortunately, I'm glued to the seat. So obviously, complete immersion break. I mean, obviously, my guy would have to get up and poop, right? Unless he has some kind of super awesome space toilet underneath his pilot seat that I'm not seeing. I mean, maybe, like... It's possible. How's it going today, man? God, it's all fucking VIP contracts. Fuck. Open play, alright. Yeah, man, I'm excited to see if we're ever gonna get space toilets now with that lawsuit coming out. I mean, like, either way it plays out, I don't really care. I'm just really interested to watch it play out, and I'm kind of heartbroken because I have a feeling it's probably going to be a long process. So I feel like we're going to have to wait for fucking ever to see the conclusion to all the space drama. That kind of breaks my heart. Hell yeah, who doesn't want to poop in 60 frames per second, 4K? You can really see the turd just slide out into the toilet that way, you know? And I heard if they raise another couple million, then one of the stretch goals is going to be having the ability to leave upper deckers and other pilots' space toilets. So that should be fun. Thanks a lot. I honestly, I didn't even notice that I made elite. I was just going through purging some of the inbox stuff and saw the elite promotion. I was like, oh shit. Nice. so that's pretty fucking cool. Now we just gotta get it in combat, which will be a while. It's funny because my combat stuff is so far behind all the other ones. Like you look at, what do you call it? My trade and exploration, and they're like decently leveled, and my combat just recently started getting like bumped up at all. Finally we got a mission to the right place. So that's like 2. God, this board is really like kicking me in the balls tonight. Gameflow, thank you so much for the follow, my man. And that's the mission board and not the passenger board. One of those days. So fucking tired today. I spent like literally 90% of my day in the vet office with the girlfriend and our cat. Which was an absolute fucking nightmare. Come on. Give Daddy Failure them passenger missions, please. All the missions to the wrong places, you know? Gotta love it. Yeah, we're not even fucking remotely close. Holy shit. I keep getting like the really small capacity transport missions, like, you know, 7 dudes here, 8 dudes here, whatever. I need some more of those 24s. Those are the ones I dream of. Because it fills up quick, and it's decent payout, and I can just bounce. Instead of this nickel and dime shit, where I'm like, ugh. Oh man, fucking that shit still breaks my heart. And like, I think that's one of the reasons that I'm like so salty about Star Citizen, right? Is like, this year I've had to watch Mass Effect Andromeda die. I've had to like go through the disappointment of Ghost Recon Wildlands, and then Star Citizen 3.0 finally fucking like going to PTU. A year after what it was supposed to have originally gone to PTU, and it was just fucking a nightmare on its own. I'm just so fucking like worn out with gaming at this point. Just feels like a never-ending disappointment lately. Like, I really can't think of anything that's like lived up to like what it was hyped at, or even like, not even like necessarily hype, but like enjoyable. lived up in terms of like what I expected out of like playability and like enjoyment. It's been a rough fucking year. For me at least. I don't know, like maybe there are people out there like having a blast with it. Fuck it, it's something. He's probably gonna fucking fail out. Which one was ATS? Yeah, Horizon Zero, I've heard unanimously, like, from everybody that, like, Horizon Zero was, like, really, really good. My issue is, like, I have a PlayStation 4, but I never get to use it anymore because of my kids, so I didn't even get a chance to try it. Um, I probably could have, but I try to avoid buying anything on the PlayStation now because my kids fucking are always on it, and it's impossible for me to, like, play something consistently on them. So I'm just like, all right, well, if it's not on the computer, I don't even bother anymore. Oh, okay. All right, I got you, Jesse. Were you saying it lived up to the hype, or it was a disappointment? Ah, no. I'm like, I'm over fucking simulators also. Oh, nice. Congrats, man. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you got something that delivered. Um, like DCS was a nightmare for me. But that was kind of like a really long, drawn out thing. And I hear that DCS World is like nice, but I can't bring myself to go back to DCS products after like getting burned on Black Shark. And then like Train Simulator, like I like I'm not quite like a foamer, but like I'm really I love trains. I think trains are just fucking cool. And my kids are obsessed with trains, so like a few years back I got into Train Simulator so that like my kids could like watch the trains and all that stuff. And that was just fucking oh god. That's like an exercise in like exploiting people's fucking wallets. Yeah, I agree, Pyro. Warframe's a lot of fun, especially if you're newer. If you haven't like spent a lot of time in it yet, Warframe is a fucking blast. I go through cycles with Warframe where like I'll play the shit out of it, and then I'll eventually burn myself out, and I'll have to take a break. But then I'll come back to it and have a lot of fun with it again. But it's nice because fucking it's free, right? Like Warframe's free, so you're not really losing anything. Um, like there's no risk on it, right? You go in, you play for a while, don't spend any money, and then when you want to take a break, you just walk away from it, and you've literally lost nothing. Come on, board. I'm about to restart. This is abnormally bad. Board turnout. Yeah, let's pop this thing out and back in really quick. Yeah, Absolutely. Like, there's things about Warframe that I really, really love and enjoy. And then there's things about Warframe that are definitely kind of monotonous and drive me crazy. I tell you, the genre I would like to see come back is the sub simulations. Um, like the old Jane's Anthology Seawolf series. I would love to see like a modern take on those. I fucking love submarine games so much. Oh, I can't handle League. At least not with like public matches or whatever, like matchmaking. League is a lot of fun. If you're playing with like a group of friends and like, there's no expectations, right? Like you're just playing to have fun. I really enjoy League under those circumstances, but like, oh man, every time I try to play it like by myself, I'm like, nope, no, I can't handle this. No, thank you. Hey, Gumby, how's it going? Really? Oh my god, please tell me about it. I would love to hear about a new U-boat sim. Um, Even though like I would love to see a modern sub game, but obviously the U-boat stuff is just so fucking classic and like it's tried and true, right? Like it's one of those formulas that like you as long as you do it well, it's enjoyable for people who are into sub games. I am East Coast, U.S., so it's only 12:14, so midnight, a little past midnight for me. It sucks because like the space I feel like the space sim genre and the subgenre are both kind of like, they have a very like dedicated group of fans, but like the games obviously don't do necessarily like super well usually because like the audience appeal isn't as broad as like making the next Call of fucking Duty or some shit, right? So it sucks seeing that those games like be so far and few between. Ugh, God damn it. Yeah, like I hear a lot of people talk about like getting burnout on Elite and like taking a break from it for like months at a time and stuff like that. But I feel like I play usually enough games to mix it up that like I don't necessarily feel burnt on Elite. And like, you know, if I'm doing something that's repetitive or something like that and I want to take a break for a while, I just play another game for a couple days and then I'll get the itch to go back to Elite and jump back on. Everything's okie dokie. Oh yeah, yes, please, please, please. Thank you. Love them. More of that, if you please. But I totally get it when people are like, "Oh man, yeah, I just got burnt out on Elite." Um, I think that's just kind of the nature of the space sim games. You know, like there's only so much you can do, and eventually it's gonna be repetitive. I mean, look, even with Elite's fucking, you know, scale fucking galaxy with all the different like planets and shit that you can go to, it's still like there's only so much you can do. I wanted to get into Eve really bad, Gumby. Every time I try, I'm just like, oh fuck. Especially if you don't like, oh shit, if you don't like actually know people who play it and can kind of like be there with you going through Eve, it's so fucking miserable to play by yourself. And then like, you know, the game naturally breeds this atmosphere of like mistrust and like everybody's a fucking spy and all this other shit. So like it's really hard to actually get into like the gameplay that like CCP likes to show off to people, right? And be like, "Oh, this is what EVE Online is." And like the average new player is never going to fucking experience that, which sucks. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like Eve is cutthroat as fuck, for sure. Eve is like a perfect long running social experiment of what happens if you put human beings in a box and just let them fucking be human beings, right? Through like anonymity and just like no real repercussions for like human behavior. Like Eve is just perfect for that insight into like how fucking terrible humans can be. And that was one of the big things too when I was like first backing, or not first backing, but first like doing videos talking about Star Citizen and like all that other bullshit. That was one of the things that I was really trying to make people like see and understand is those people are going to be a fucking Star Citizen too. And I feel like Star Citizen is much more personal in terms of like what you lose and all this other shit. Um, I think a lot of people are going to be in for like a rude awakening if that game ever goes live. Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. Like, you can only do so much of the same thing over and over again in any game. Um, I really can't think of like a certain game out there that like is immune to that, you know? I mean, even like like old school Diablo 2, right? Even with like the random procedural dungeons and shit, right? It still was basically like, you know, the same thing, even though like the boards were different or whatever. It was still like, oh hey, I'm still doing the same fucking missions that I've done a million times before, and it gets old. Well, that happens in every game, which is weird. Like I don't understand it when you see people criticizing Elite and they're like, "Oh, it's fucking boring, repetitive gameplay," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, but I mean, essentially, like every game is boring, repetitive gameplay." Game flow, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh man, that that shit was crazy. I think like that's one thing that I really don't like about Elite, right? Like I get it that like it's part of what makes or not Elite, Eve. I get that that's part of what makes Eve what it is, but like the idea of like, having months or years of fucking, work undone by like one dickhead who's like, "Oh, I'm going to fucking betray the alliance for the lulz." um that shit would suck hard. That would be some like, okay, well, I'm fucking done with this game shit. Yeah, Eve has like so many stories of just insane fucking like player driven fuck up loss. It's crazy. It's fucking I can't think of anything else out there that has ever like been even remotely close to like Eve and like the drama that happens revolving around Eve. Like there's almost always some like big alliance backstab plot that goes off and like makes, gaming news, or like somebody fucks something up really bad and it I don't know, man. Elite's great or Eve is crazy. God damn it. Oh god. That's insane, right? Like 200K worth of fucking assets fucking gone. I like legit that guy probably fucking oh, I can't even imagine. Like how do you even get back online after that, right? I don't even I don't know if I could ever like face the internet again, much less the game. Like I would never log back into Eve after that, but like, everybody's going to be fucking hitting you up and like going after you. Um like god. Jesus. Yeah, he made some like weird vague threats about cutting people's hands off or some shit or like I don't even remember if he said like actually said he was going to cut somebody's hands off, but he like he talked about like, oh yeah, I enjoy typing it out because like the guy was in their Discord or some shit like that, right? And like essentially trolling him after he fucked them all. And I guess the alliance leader said some shit like, "Oh yeah, enjoy using your hands while you still can," or some shit like that, right? Like, I don't, I don't remember ever reading any like screen grabs of him saying like, "I'm going to cut your hands off," but like, he was obviously like threatening him because he was obviously just fucking irate, which, you know, it's hard to fault him on. I would be fucking seeing red. Um, but yeah, CCP banned the alliance leader who got betrayed, which seems like pretty excessive because like their whole fucking game is based around letting people do whatever the fuck they want and essentially not intervening. Like you can go to the fucking main trade hub and there's literally people there scamming you. Like in trade chat, right? Like they don't police that kind of shit or anything else. So like it's weird that they draw the line at like, oh hey, now you're fucking pissed off at somebody who just completely fucked all of you guys' game up and completely ruined the game for you. We're gonna fucking ban you for threatening that guy. Like, well, what the fuck do you expect? Obviously, people are gonna have emotional attachment to that kind of shit, especially when like it has real world value equivalent, right? Um, like it's just insane that like they were like, oh hey, we're gonna ban this guy. It seems like a really weird point to like care about enforcing something when like they literally let you get away with just about fucking anything else. So it seems weird that like that's when they're all of a sudden they're like, oh hey, oh, we care about this shit. Shit, come on. What are we in? Private group? Going for solo. And like, and that's the thing, right? Like, if you're gonna have a PvP world where your approach is, hey, let players do what they want, say what they want, fucking whatever, you can't all of a sudden jump in and be like, oh hey, now we care. Like it just, I don't know. It's weird. Like I liked that about Eve because like especially when I was coming over from like MMOs like EverQuest and other shit that was out when Eve was fairly new. You know, you have like hardcore like, oh, you can't say that type fucking bullshit game masters and, you know, customer service, whatever. So it was really refreshing that Elite was essentially like, hey, this is you guys' world, fucking go to town, we don't care. But then, like, you know, I mean, what do they expect? Like, when you lose something like that, like, that was like the entire, like, gameplay assets of how many fucking people. Like, I don't know how big that alliance was, but I'm guessing at least hundreds, right? Was that a fair to lance? So you're looking at like at least hundreds of people's gameplay has just literally been fucked by one guy. Its value in terms of both in game and like, you know, real world, just completely fucked over by one guy. And then the guy is sitting there like taunting them about it. Like, how do you expect him to react to that? Like, it's just crazy to me. You're like, oh well, permaban for making threats. Like, fuck, what do you expect? The gaming industry is so weird sometimes. Like, some of the mentalities and attitudes that they like cultivate, game developing companies, like through like managing their communities, their policies, whatever it may be. Oh, so it was like over 1,000. Yeah, like, how do you expect them to handle that kind of shit? Like, that's insane to me. Like, what kind of like outcome do they expect from that? I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, like, my respect level for CCP has dropped already, like, quite a bit before that whole event happened. So I'm kind of like, yeah, well, whatever. I kind of like fell out of love with CCP after Dust 514 or whatever the fuck it was. Their like first person shooter game that was supposed to be tied in with Eve. When they were like, oh yeah, here's our first person shooter that's tied in with Eve, and it's only on PlayStation. And I was like, wait, what? Are you for fucking real right now? And then like when Star Citizen blew up on crowdfunding, and Eve was like, "Oh hey, here's Eve Valkyrie," and like they were like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be like this first person or first person piloting thing, dogfighting fighters," and I was like, "Oh my god, dude." It's gonna be so insane to fly a fighter around like an actual space battle going on in Eve. Like, holy shit. And then like I find out like later on like that's not how Valkyrie is at all, and I'm like, oh. Well, I fucking don't care then. Like, why would I want to pick a shooter that's like, going to be subpar to Call of Duty and every other shooter out there? Or, you know, a space fucking arcadey fighter pilot game that's going to be subpar to other offerings out there. Like, what's my motivation to pick Dust or Valkyrie if they aren't directly tied into Eve? Like, that's the big draw behind the idea of those two games for me personally. It was like, oh hey, these are going to be like part of Eve, and then they're not, and it's like, oh well, I guess I don't fucking care then. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with Star Citizen, right? I feel like there's so many issues there, in terms of like just the gameplay, right? Like, not even looking at like CIG as a company and my feelings on CIG, like just the gameplay. Oh god, I'm really, really, really curious to see if they go ahead and push 3.0 to live release for the holiday. Yeah, they've done a really good job of demonstrating that they have no idea how to balance shit in terms of like mission payouts and stuff. Even like in 2.6, right? Like you earned so little money compared to like expenses in terms of like repairing munitions. Like if persistence had been a thing in 2.6, fuck that. Exactly, right? Like what do you call it? Missile ordnance, torpedoes, anything like that cost a fucking fortune. Repairing was fucking ridiculous. Refueling was insane. Just everything was so out of whack. It's like they have no idea like how to find a good balance in terms of that, and the fact that they don't have any kind of like working decent like prototype of an economy in 3.0 either shows that like it's still not something they've even like remotely thought of yet. And like that's probably, I mean, without talking about CIG as a company, right? Like in just Star Citizen as the game, um, that's really like some of my biggest gripes is like so many core systems and mechanics and shit that they should have like ironed out and like at least know how they want things to work. They clearly haven't even started into yet, right? And that's not okay fucking 6 years into development now. Like we should be further along than that. And we're not even remotely. And that kind of crap really, really bugs me. Oh shit, illegal passenger. God damn it. That's great. Didn't see that one. Motherfucker. Like, it's one thing to say, oh, hey, you know, they're only 6 years in, they're still working on stuff, blah, blah, blah. But, like, when they've shown that, like, 6 years in, they still have yet to even get the core of the game fucking fleshed out, in terms of just even the direction, much less, like, having it in-game. Like, that's the point where I'm like, okay, I'm not okay with this. I'm not gonna sit around and, like, wait another fucking 6 to 10 years for them to fucking figure out how they want to fucking make the game. Like that. I'm not gonna wait fucking like 12 plus years of my fucking life for a game that by the time it comes out is gonna be dated and obsolete. And that's the thing too, is like everybody's like, oh well, Star Citizen's doing something totally new. They're fucking they're changing the fucking gaming industry, and it's like, okay, well they were like back in fucking 2012 with what they wanted to do, um, but like at this point, like fucking, you know, come 2018 and beyond, like a lot of the shit that, you know, they're fucking is essentially like their tent pole for like, oh hey, this is how it's gonna be or whatever. You know, a lot of other games are doing it. Like planetary landings are a thing now in Elite. Fucking planetary procedural generation is a thing for fucking No Man's Sky, fucking Elite, all this other stuff. You know, all that we need now is for another game to do fucking like space legs and like even remotely engaging multi-crew, because right now multi-crew in Star Citizen is essentially sit in the turret and fucking shoot fucking hopelessly at other things that are flying around. Like, it's not revolutionary anymore. Like, yeah, you don't have one game doing all of them, but by the time fucking Star Citizen actually releases, there probably will be one game doing all of them. And it will probably be at a higher fucking visual level than Star Citizen as well, because we're at a point now where, like, console games are starting to look as good or better than Star Citizen. Like, that's the problem. Like, I don't understand why people don't see that, is that the more and more we drag out Star Citizen, the less and less, like, revolutionary it is. Like, we're already at a point where a lot of the shit that, like, was their main bragging point isn't that big of a deal anymore. I feel like even with the CryEngine, right? Oh God. Even with the CryEngine, they could have done what they wanted to do, and that's the thing. Like, originally they set out to make a space game very much like what we have in Elite Dangerous, only you could move around your ship, right? And I would have fucking loved that. I would have loved that game. It would have been really cool. I would have absolutely been happy to play that game, and I think they could have done it. They could have done it in a timely manner. But unfortunately, I feel like Chris Roberts literally just cannot contain himself. And unfortunately, there's nobody involved in Star Citizen that has the authority to contain Chris Roberts. So it's this never-ending ramping of more features, more creep, more scope change, and it's just always going more and more. And there's like, oh, hey, we'll make the engine work. We'll figure it out eventually. Like, yeah, okay, there's no such thing as a CryEngine MMO, but we'll get it. We'll figure it out. It's no biggie. It's just, oh man. Like, I can't imagine working at CIG. I bet, like, it's just got to be so taxing. In terms of, like, knowing that, like, the feasibility of what you're being asked to do is, like, fucking so outlandish that, like, you're just like, God, how am I ever gonna fucking do what they want me to do? Yeah, exactly, right? Like, that was the big draw for me, and there were two big reasons I went with Star Citizen instead of Elite when they were both, like, in, early Kickstarter for excuse me, one sec. Fucking voice is going. There were two big draws for me and why I went to Star Citizen instead of Elite. One was cosmetically. Star Citizen ships just look cooler, right? Like, all of Elite's early ships were like wedges and just really ugly shit. And, like, yeah, I get that, like, they're legacy ships to, like, the old school Elite games, and Braben wanted shit to, like, be like a callback to the earlier Elite games, and that's cool, whatever. But, like, for somebody who wasn't involved in the earlier Elite games, I look at, like, Star Citizen ships, which look cool. They're all very much influenced by, like, very popular IPs, like Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, whatever. So they're all, like, instantly, like, familiar to me in a way that, like, oh, hey, this is something that I, was attached to already. They look more aggressive, more modern, more interesting. So, like, that alone, I was like, oh, okay, the ships are obviously way cooler looking in Star Citizen. And then the fact that, like, you could get up and move around, and, like, you weren't just your ship. Even if Star Citizen was only going to be, like, flying between space stations and, planetary outposts that were essentially, like, you go through a cutscene of your ship entering atmosphere and landing at a star or an outpost on the planet or whatever, and then, like, you got out into a social area like Area 18 is now. that would have been enough for me, right? And that's what the game was originally going to be. And a lot of Star Citizen backers seem to like not understand that that's what the game was originally going to be. They're like, oh, now Star Citizen was always going to be like planetary exploration and like all this other crazy shit that Chris has added, but it was always going to be a part of. And it's like, dude, okay, yep. And like the thing is, like, if Chris had stuck to what Star Citizen was originally going to be, I feel like he could have done it with like, you know, the engine that he chose. But I feel like his ever expanding vision for everything is just completely like, I don't know, I can't think of an engine out there that could handle it at this point, you know? Hey, Commander Card, how's it going? Yeah, it's a long one. I might be back around that time frame. I'll probably be on and off. We'll see. Yeah, that whole lawsuit, man. Honestly, like, I'm really curious to see how it all plays out. Obviously, we don't know because, you know, we can't like look at the GLA yet. Hopefully, that becomes public. That would be really fucking great. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm really curious to see how it plays out. I mean, there's always a chance that like Crytek did do something that breached the contract first. That could possibly be. Maybe CIG could argue that. I don't know. I do think it's like insanely naive for people that, like, I've seen a lot of backers arguing that like, oh, Amazon's gonna step in here and fucking shut Crytek down, and CIG's, you know, they're gonna fucking laugh because it's not gonna be a big deal at all. Like, Amazon's gonna fucking take care of CIG, and I'm like, okay. I will be shocked if that happens. Fucking flabbergasted, full on fucking just jaw dropped if that happens. I can't even imagine a realistic reason for that to happen. People who are like, oh, CIG will just pay him a couple million and then like fucking move on from it, and they don't care. Like, they'll just settle it, and it's not even gonna dent them. And I'm like, all right, we'll see. I'm really, really hoping that like, because of the lawsuit, CIG's financials are forced public. That would make me so happy. Hey, I appreciate Commander Card. I'm probably gonna be working on my FedRep next, so I appreciate the tip. I mean, like, I don't even want Star Citizen to fail necessarily. I think Chris Roberts deserves to have it fail, but I don't like specifically want Star Citizen to fail. I just think like the company does a lot of very shady shit. I don't like Chris as a manager. I think Sandy Gardner is a fucking snake in the grass, if you will. So like, personal dislikes of, you know, the head management of CIG. aside, like, I'm sure that the team there is fucking talented and they're doing the best they fucking can with what they have, which, you know, is what it is. I just don't see, like, I just don't know if I see them being able to pull off what Chris wants them to pull off and what backers are expecting at this point, right? Like, that's the big thing is CIG, like, has to fucking, you know, Hail Mary home run this motherfucker. Otherwise, backers are going to be just ape shit pissed off, right? Because, like, they've defended the game for so long. They've been hyped for the game so long. They've hyped themselves for the game so long. Chris Roberts has promised the fucking universe to literally every backer. Like, I don't know if anybody can deliver on that, right? And I feel like the longer Chris draws that out, the more passionate his active backers are going to be, and the more upset that passion is going to be when it's not everything that, like, they dreamed of, right? Like, everything that, like, Chris fucking enabled them to dream of, right? Like they've done a terrible job of managing people's expectations. They promised literally everything. And then, like, I just don't know if they could ever pull that off. I don't know if anybody could ever pull that off when you've promised so much to so many. Yeah, exactly. I think, like, it really started for me, like, seeing how CIG works as a company when I bought that Idris M. And just the way that their customer support handled everything, the way their forum mod teams handled everything, like, that was a real, like, bam, wake up. And just kind of made me really aware of, like, how much they don't give a fuck about you as a backer. They care way more about, like, the mob majority, right? Doesn't matter if, like, you were in the right and, like, they as a company were literally, like, in the wrong. That doesn't matter. They care more about appeasing the mob of, like, loyalist backers than, like, oh, hey, this one person who got screwed over because we fucked up and now he's persecuted because of it. Yeah, let's just let the forums play out the way they play out, and we'll just keep banning him anytime he, like, objects to it. I was like, dude, what the fuck is with this company? Like, I spent so much money on you motherfuckers, and, like, you haven't even fucking remotely delivered a fucking game or even close to the promises that you've made. And you guys are gonna fucking, like, treat me like shit like this? That's insane. So, like, that whole experience was, for me personally, probably, like, the beginning of, like, really looking at everything that they did from that point on very, very, like, skeptically. At that point, like, anything they did, I couldn't take at face value. I'd have to, like, overanalyze everything and be like, okay, but why? Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. I think that they only care about money. Like, that CIG that we started, right? That we, like, brought up from the ground. That CIG's dead. This is a completely different, you know, company, I guess. I don't even want to say that. Like, it's not even that, like, that old CIG is dead. It's that, like, I don't know, maybe Chris doesn't have to pretend anymore. Maybe, like, hats off to Sandy Gardner. She really is that good of a businesswoman as she claims to be, right? Like, she just managed to fucking script her hubby through it all and, like, play the backers with the whole, oh, we're gonna not be like these publisher games that are just ruined because of the publisher. You guys are gonna, You guys are going to prevent all that, and we're going to be super active with you, and we're going to care about each and every one of you like you were the publisher, like you were the investor. We're going to really just be there for you guys. We don't care. We're here to make the greatest game ever. We don't care about, the money. And then, like, as soon as they had that fucking big boom and everything exploded, they're like, oh, well, fuck it. Fuck these plebs. We can just do what we want now. So, I don't know. Maybe that's not how it went, and maybe just the executive branch of CIG is just really that out of touch with how they act and how they treat backers. That could be too. I mean, it wouldn't be the first scenario where, upper management has no idea how they behave as a company. It's just depressing to think about. Either scenario is just fucking depressing. So, like, there's really no win there. They've either turned into a shit company because they're all about the money, or they've turned into a shit company because they're just so out of touch with everything else, including their fucking game, that they can't fucking figure out how they want to make. That, like, they don't realize they're fucking out of touch and treating people like shit. Yeah, it sucks, right? Like, it sucks to see that, especially if you've been around from, like, the beginning, and, like, you really thought, like, you thought you were getting this company off the ground, right? Like, you thought you were going to be part of something completely different in the gaming industry, and then, like, more and more every year it just turns into the industry norm, or, pushing the boundary to be worse. It's just, it sucks to see. It's very, very depressing, for sure. I guess it is what it is, though, It sucks, and, like, I've learned my lesson. It was a really painful and depressing lesson to learn, but, I have no desire to put money into projects that are not, like, real, right? Like, I can't fucking touch it with my own hands and be like, okay, this is happening. It's, like, almost out. It's near completion. Or if it's, like, let's say late early access, alpha phase or whatever, like, I can look at their track record and see, like, okay, they have a track record of being on time, of, like, being on schedule, of making real progress between updates, active updates, shit like that, right? Never again would I, like, pledge into a game where, like, it's updated a couple times a year and the updates are, like, not meaningful progress from the previous ones. Yeah, I would definitely never get involved in a project like Star Citizen again. Which sucked because, you know, who's to say that like another company doesn't come around, right? And they have an idea for an MMO that they want to do through like Kickstarter or whatever. A space sim shooter, whatever, right? Like just a really cool game that like, you know, maybe this person would really fucking nail it, do an incredible job, whatever. But I'm not going to give them a chance because of Chris Roberts, essentially. And that kind of like sucks to think about. Like, I wonder how many other like really good games out there will never get made because people will just never have the faith or trust after Star Citizen. It definitely feels like that. For sure, Jesse. It definitely feels like their primary focus at this point isn't making a game, but like finding ways to make money. Which it's fine for a company to make money. Obviously, it's a business. But you should be making money off of a product or a service. And Star Citizen is not yet a finished product. It's not a fucking service yet, right? Like, it's just... At this point, it's an idea. You're finding new ways to fucking make more money on the same idea that you've made fucking negligible progress on fucking materializing. It's just insane. And I mean, that's the main thing too, right? Like if Star Citizen had reached like let's say beta, and you know all core game features were in, whatever, and they wanted to start like aggressively finding ways to like make extra money, I would have much less bitter things to say about it, right? It would be a completely different scenario, but you know, being 6 years into development and you're still saying, "Oh, well, we're pre-alpha." Um, like, how do you justify that? How do you justify your progress for one, and how do you justify continuously trying to find new ways to pimp money out of people when you're like, "Oh, hey, we have enough money to make the game, guys. If all funding stopped fucking a year and a half ago, we would be fine." And it's like, okay, well, what's going on here then? Like, are you aggressively trying to market people because you're just fucking greedy, or are you doing it because you lied about the funding? Like, CIG just makes it so hard to take anything that they say at an honest face value. And I fucking hate that. I think that's like one of the worst parts about CIG and what they've turned into. Is that I feel like I can't trust anything that they say or do. So it makes it very, very, very hard to be supportive of the fucking project when, like, literally everything they say or do, I feel like I can't believe it. Unless, like, I have fucking without a doubt verifiable evidence of it. That's the thing, is like, once a developer burns your trust, it's so hard to fucking get that back. And like they don't even try, right? They're like, oh well, you don't fucking like the project, go fuck off. We're gonna get somebody new. I think that's a big part of it, is until the ratio of new people they're able to like lure into the fucking game like dips down under the ratio of people that like they burn out and throw off because they just don't fucking care. I don't think CIG will ever change the way that they operate. I mean, like, I read the fucking emails that Beer for the Beer God got from Sandy Gardner last night, and that shit was just fucking mind blowing. That the shit she says to him is just insane. And like I'm blown away because like I consider myself having been a pretty active Star Citizen backer from the time that I pledged back in 2013, and like I never saw those emails ever. So it's amazing to me that like I literally was like just now reading about them, and it makes me wonder like, okay, how many other instances of shit like this has happened with CIG, and how many other fucking like just insane shit have they done that like either, you know, never sees the light of day just because the person that it happens to is just like, fuck this, I'm done, and they walk away, or it gets swept under the rug by either like White Knights or CIG directly or whatever. I think that's one of the biggest things for me at this point is like I just have no trust left in them as a company, so it makes it impossible for me to like feel safe backing that project, even if I believed that they could make the game. The trust level with the company itself is so far gone that I don't see any way of ever possibly like building that back up. Yeah, absolutely. Like I feel like it's going to take a full-on like revolt of like not just the majority of like vocal active backers, but like even the ones that like lurk, right? The ones that aren't active on RSI forums or the subreddit or any other like medium, right? Like they back and like they spend some money here and there and they might read up on this stuff, but like they're not active in the community. Like everybody would have to just fucking pull out pitchforks, right? And I just don't see that ever happening, especially with this community. To CIG's credit, they have done an excellent job. I don't know like who gets credit, like maybe their community managers or whatever, but like their mod team, I don't know. But they have done an excellent job cultivating the exact kind of community that they wanted, where it is extremely loyal, blindly loyal, you know, willing to fucking fight for the game against other people who are criticizing it or have doubts or whatever. I mean, essentially, like, you know, they've gone full fucking propaganda mode where, like, I don't want to say brainwashed, but, like, it's so close to that like, it almost fits. But people are, like, so deeply, like, God, I'm trying to think of the words to like properly describe it without being like condescending, because I'm not trying to insult these people, because I mean like even, you know, a year ago I was like Star Citizen is the best thing ever, like they're doing shit that nobody's done before, blah blah blah, like, and you know, like I can look back and like totally see myself spitting the same fucking the same lines that I read other fanboys say now, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, I hope you wake up in time to, you know, get your money out of this before fucking it all comes crumbling down. Jack Woo PM, thank you so much. Oh, it's so nice having the cutter. But yeah, like, it's just weird, Jesse. You know, like, I don't think I've ever been part of a gaming community where, like, the host company has done such a good job of just, I don't know, I guess brainwashing, right? Like, I guess it's almost, yeah, like, it's, they've done a really good job of being a propaganda machine, between, like, their mod team, their fucking community managers, their customer support, everybody. Like, they just, it's almost like being gaslighted, right? Like, they just tell you, oh, it's this way over and over and over again until people buy into it, and then those people tell other people. And it's like fucking, I guess, like, a cult, right? Like, it ends up being like a cult. Like, there, it's so hard to think of another accurate description, but it ends up being like a fucking cult where, like, the head people have very strict views on what the message needs to be, and they push it out to fucking the underlings, and the vocal people who buy into it go out and fucking disseminate it to other people and shun anybody who argues, and they go, oh, well, the head god CIG people are behind me and they say that it's like this, so you're a fucking idiot and you need to get out of here. Go somewhere else, go play another game. So they drive people out who don't agree blindly, and it's just, it's like a fucking cult. It's insane. And, like, it's just so fascinating and so unlike anything I've ever seen in my life before that, like, I can't help but, like, keep watching it, right? Like, I don't want to play the game, and I'm not, like, I'm trying hard not to go out of my way to, like, talk shit about it necessarily. But I mean, it is hard not to talk about it because, first of all, like, the majority of the people on my channel, like 90 fucking percent of them, are Star Citizen backers, or were at some point Star Citizen backers, or, you know, whatever. Like, they're involved in Star Citizen. So it's like, it makes it really hard to not, like, talk about it because everybody else wants to talk about it to me about it. So then I'm obviously going to talk about my feelings on whatever they bring up. Because, like, I know, like, the first thing you say when you, or the first thing they say when you go up to a Star Citizen backer who's, like, blindly apologetic and, like, you know, culty, they're like, oh, well, you're part of the fucking refunder cult. Like, you're so obsessed. If you don't like it, why don't you just walk away? And it's like, well, for one, like, tons of people I know are fucking still involved in the whole mess, and they talk to me about it. I'm gonna talk about it. You know, like, if somebody comes up to me and they're like, hey, Failure, Star Citizen's doing this, isn't that crazy? I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's pretty fucking crazy. So, I mean, like, I almost feel like there really isn't any way for me to completely just cut Star Citizen out and just never talk about it, because people are going to talk to me about it, and I'm just one of those kind of people that, like, I enjoy talking about shit, right? Good or bad. Like, if Star Citizen suddenly had fucking 60 frames per second tomorrow, and you know, like, a bunch of the core mechanics were suddenly in game, like, let's say mining showed up in 3.0, trading was suddenly in 3.0 with, like, you know, fucking large cargo boxes, and, like, the cargo system was, like, all fleshed out, and people wanted to talk to me about it, I would be fucking totally cool talking about it, right? Like, I would be interested in talking about it. I don't think I would go back to the game just because of my own personal feelings on the company, but I would be really interested in hearing, like, about how they managed to pull it off and whatever, like, their side of it. You know, obviously, snowball's chance in hell that ever would happen, so I'm not, like, super worried about it, but you know, if that happened, I would be happy to like make a video and be like, holy shit, like through a stroke of genius, Chris Roberts fucking walked into the UK office and introduced a new line of code into the engine that completely fixed everything, and everything is fucking amazing, and Chris Roberts did it. Holy shit. Nobody believed he could do it, and he proved us all wrong, right? Like, I would be happy to do that. The problem is, and like, Star Citizen backers are always like, oh, well, you just want to talk about the negative, and it's like, give me fucking positives, and I'm happy to fucking talk about them. The problem is, they don't give me fucking anything to talk about, and like, I got progressively more and more salty in my videos because progressively more and more there was more things to call them out on, and there was just very little to fucking praise them on. Like, I'm happy to fucking be like, damn, good job CIG, or holy shit Chris, you fucking proved me wrong, but like, they don't. And I have, like, I feel no conflict inside of me to like be like, oh shit, okay, Chris was right, damn. And like, it's weird to me that like backers don't seem to get that. Like, I have no problem, you know, giving credit where it's due, but I just don't feel like they've earned anything praiseworthy yet. Especially nothing new, right? Like, Star Citizen 2.0, when it first popped out, right? And you had like multi-crew for the first time, like, I was all about it. I was like, holy shit, dude, this is fucking insane. But that was fucking, what, 2 years ago? 2 or 3? I don't remember. But a long fucking time ago. Like, what have they done that is in a releasable state that, like, isn't just a trailer, isn't a video that, like, we don't know, like, okay, how fucking faked up this is. What can we touch in our hands right now that's fucking revolutionary since 2.0? It's just crazy. Yeah, it's insane how much money they've managed to pull together. And like, I understand that you can't buy progress, right? Like, I get that. Like, they've hired up like some of the best people that they possibly could get. I understand that. The problem is, it doesn't matter if you hire the best people that money can buy. It doesn't matter if you have a huge budget or whatever. If the people running the project are a fucking clusterfuck from hell, none of that shit matters, and you're just never gonna fucking get anywhere. And that's essentially the story of Star Citizen. It's fucking 1 step forward and 3 steps backwards. Every fucking major content patch is 1 step forward and 3 back. I can't ever think of a point where I'm like, oh shit, they're making meaningful progress. Like, and I'm sure some people would be like, oh, well, planetary landings are a thing now. I'm like, yeah, okay, they're a thing now, but like, planetary landings are a thing in other games. They're still very bare bones. They're fucking glitchy, the frame rate's terrible, the performance bad, and it's not even one fucking solar system yet. Like, we don't have a single system still. The next major patch is going to be adding like a couple more planets. Like, that's how far back we are. But they're supposed to have 100 or, you know, over 100 systems on launch, right? Core mechanics are still not there. Like, there's just so much wrong that like you can't praise them for 3.0. I mean, you can say like, oh, hey, good job guys, you oh fuck, god damn it. Well, that sucks. I done fucked up hard. God damn it, I wasn't paying attention. I'm gonna get blown up. That sucks bad. Motherfucker, man. That fucking illegal passenger. God, I hate fucking accepting those. Fuck. Like, I never fucking notice it. Oh, that's so fucking irritating. I wish you could just vent them out the fucking airlock. I got so caught up in like bitching about Star Citizen, completely forgot that he was in there. Oh, really? Already? Come on. Oh, shit. I'm fucked. God damn it. Cool. Fuck it. I don't even care. Awesome. Ah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Fuck. That sucked. Yeah, right? Like, you should totally just be able to blow them out the fucking airlock and be like, oh, hey, you're wanted, huh? And it doesn't even make sense, right? Like, why... Oh, yeah, like, fucking bastards. Cool. Like, why would they offer you a fucking dude who's wanted from, like, one station to... Ugh, it's just so fucking annoying. God damn it. God, that's fucking irritating. Alright, guys, I'm gonna go eat after that. Fucking super annoying disappointment. I'll be back probably a little later tonight. We'll try doing something different besides fucking flying in a straight line. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me. I will see you guys a little bit later tonight. Fucking goddamn wanted bastard.